What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Josiah and this is my opinion on the Baccano Roblox tier list. Alright, so starting off this video with a little disclaimer. This is my opinion, so don't get triggered in the comments even though I do get no viewers. Now, this first tier list has most of the quirks from the game, so I made a second tier list with the quirks that aren't included. Okay, first up we have Acid. Now, Acid is an uncommon quirk in this game, and I would put it around a C tier, because at low levels it's really good for farming the gym with your V, because you just fill up the entire gym with your Acid and just farm XP, but it's not really good for PvP. Air Propulsion is an uncommon quirk in the game. It's used by All For One in the anime. It really only has 3 moves, and if it had more moves, it'd probably have way more potential, but Z is its really only viable move for PvP, otherwise I place it at a D. All For One's a legendary quirk in the game, and it's All For One's quirk, the villain. It has good offensive moves, but its moveset just doesn't really appeal to me. I like the faster, more explosive type movesets, so for now I put it at a B. Black Hole is an uncommon quirk used by 13 in the anime. Now, this quirk is insanely good for lower levels in the gym, but otherwise it's not great for PvP or higher levels when you're not really gym farming, so for now I place it at a B. Clones is an uncommon quirk used by Ectoplasm in the anime. Now, like I said with Black Hole, Clones is insanely good for farming, not just the gym, but for lower level bosses such as Tamura and President Mike. So if you're lower level, just spam your Z and your Q, and you'll level up insanely quickly. So I place this at an A. Creation is the first rare quirk on this list, and it's used by Momo Yaoyorozu in the anime. Now, this is a really good quirk for spamming bosses, so a good combo to use is the F and then the V, which is the double cannons, and it just shreds through bosses' health, and then you can cycle through the rest of your moves, so I'm going to place this at an A. Cremation is a rare quirk used by the villain Dabi in the anime. Now, this quirk has really good crowd control, so it's good for raids when you're fighting a lot of weak villains, and weak Nomus. It's not very good for gym farming or boss farming, so right now I'm going to be placing this at a B. Dark Shadow is a rare quirk used by Fumikage Tokoyami in the anime. Now, this might sound biased, but Dark Shadow is one of my favorite quirks in this game. It has overall great moves, it can do crowd control, high damage, defensive, the list goes on. So, you might not agree with me, but I put Dark Shadow in an S. Decay is another rare quirk. It's used by Tamura Shigaraki in the anime. Now, personally, I don't like this quirk at all. It does have decent crowd control and high rapid damage, so it can do high damage in certain situations, but you have to be very close to your opponent, and that's why I put it at a D. Deku One For All is a legendary quirk, and it's used by Izuku Midoriya in the anime. Now, this does have very strong moves, but it's very similar to One For All. Now, the flicks with the Q, if you don't have your full cowling on, you will break your fingers, and you can't use the move for a while. So, that's really what kills the vibe for me, so I'll just put it at an A for now. Electrification is an uncommon quirk, and it's used by Denki Kaminari in the anime. Now, this is very good for crowd control, and it's good for support in raids. It's not personally my favorite quirk, so I'm going to put it around a C. Engine's a common quirk used by Tenya Ida in the anime. This monstrosity of a quirk should have never been added. Its only, pro is that it's fast. Otherwise, it's completely trash, and I hate it, so it's going in an F. Gigantification is a common quirk used by Mount Lady in the anime. Now, this is good for lower levels when you're just fighting weak villains and criminals, so, I mean, once you get to higher levels, you can do some damage in raids, but it's not really my favorite, so I put it at a C. Half Hot Half Cold is the legendary quirk used by Shoto Todoroki in the anime. Now this quirk is very good for dealing high damage while spamming at the same time. I personally like to cycle through the 3 forms, the fire, the ice, and the combined form. So overall, if you're a spammer, go for half hot, half cold. I'm going to put it at an S. Hardening is a common quirk used by Eijiro Kirishima in the anime. I probably didn't say his name right, but overall, if you're lower level, I loved this quirk when I was farming weak villains when I was like level 300. Now, you just do your Q and your C and you completely shred through levels. So, I'm going to put this at an A. Hellflame is an uncommon quirk used by the former number 2, current number 1 hero Endeavor. Now, this quirk is very good for trapping your opponents while dealing damage to them, especially with the fire, like, spider net thing. But once you get to higher levels, it's not really viable in raids or PvP, so I'm just going to put this at a C. Jet is a common quirk used by the retired pro hero Gran Torino. Now this quirk makes me want to throw up. It has 2 moves. You can propel yourself through the air or propel yourself through the air while kicking. This is terrible for PvP. It's only good for mobility, just like Engine, so I'm going to put this at an F. Muscle augmentation is a rare quirk used by Muscular and a number of other people in the anime. Now, this is another one of my personal favorite quirks. It does have very strong moves and very good mobility, so I'm going to be placing this at an S. One for All is a legendary quirk used by a number of people because it's passed down through generations. Now, the current user is Izuku Midoriya and the former user is Toshinari Yagi, also known as All Might. Now, this quirk has great cooldowns, it's super fast, it's very strong. So, overall, I'd probably say an S tier. Permeation is an uncommon quirk used by Mirio Togata in the anime. Now, this quirk is good for running away and stalling, but overall, its fighting ability is pretty low, so I'm going to put this at a D. Overhaul is a legendary quirk used by Kai Chisaki in the anime, also known as Overhaul. This quirk is really good for tanking while dealing high damage to your opponents and healing your allies. So overall, this is an A tier quirk, but I wouldn't say S because the cooldowns are way too long. Pop-Off is an uncommon quirk used by Minoru Mineta in the anime. Now this quirk is okay. I wouldn't choose it over a lot of quirks. It only has 3 moves. A lot of them are pretty low damage, so I'd say Pop-Off is a D. Quirkless is a rare quirk in this game, and it's really not owned by anyone because anyone can have it in the anime. This quirk isn't really bad because it can give you access to Deku 1 for All, so I don't really have an NA category, so I'll just put it in an F for now because you can't really do much with it. Shock Absorb is an uncommon quirk used by the USJ Nomu. Now this quirk is very good at high levels, especially for stalling, with high strength and high durability. Now, if you're lower level, I'd say just spin off, but as of right now, I'm going to put it at an A. Symbobolus is a common quirk used by the pro hero Midnight in the anime. Now, this quirk is pretty good for support in raids and stuff, but on its own, it's not very good, so I'm probably going to put it at a B. Voice is a common quirk used by the pro hero Present Mic in the anime. Now, this quirk is pretty good for lower level farming, especially in the gym with the 3 punching bag setup. If you get behind all 3 of the punching bags and just spam your Z and your X, you can farm levels relatively easy, but at higher levels, it's just not the play. So I'm going to put it at a D. Warp Gate is an uncommon quirk used by the villain Kurogiri in the anime. Probably didn't say that right, but I don't really care. It's really not that good overall. You can teleport yourself, and that's about it. It has no offensive potential, so I'm going to put it at an F. Explosion is a legendary quirk used by Katsuki Bakugo in the anime. This quirk has insanely good crowd control, and it actually has a couple range moves as well. This quirk really has no cons, so I'm going to put it in an S. Zero Gravity is a common quirk used by Ochako Uraraka in the anime. Now this quirk does have a couple good moves, such as the C and the V, but otherwise I really just don't prefer this quirk. You can have insane mobility if you use your F, but otherwise I'd say just spin off. So I'm going to put it at a C. Like I said in the intro, the first tier list didn't have all the quirks from the game, so we're moving on to the second tier list. First up is Recovery Girl's quirk, Regen. Now this quirk is really good for stalling and PvP with your weapons such as daggers, katanas, and guns, but otherwise I just don't prefer it for PvP, so right now I'm going to put it at a B. Frog is a rare quirk owned by Tsuyu Asue in the anime. Now this quirk is good if you like the same move spread over 5 moves. Now what I mean is her Q, you stick out your tongue. Her C, you stick out your tongue and it curves. And your X, you stick out your tongue and you propel yourself through the air. The only real unique move is the F, which makes you invisible, and even weak villains can see you and attack you, so it's only good for the PvP arena and fighting real players. So overall, I'd say this is probably D tier. Fierce Wings is a legendary quirk owned by the former number 3, current number 2 hero Hawks. Now this quirk is very good for ranged attacks. You can fly, but it drains your stamina very quickly. Overall, it's a good quirk, but it's not the best, so I'm going to put this at an A. Tail is a common quirk owned by Mashiro Ojiro in the anime. Now this quirk is okay if you're lower level. It's really not good for boss farming, it's not good for PvP, it's not good for raids. It's really only good for weak villains and criminals. So I'm probably going to put this at a D tier along with Frog. Last and definitely least is the common quirk Naval Laser. Now this quirk is owned by Yuga Aoyama in the anime. So like Frog, this quirk, its moveset is literally the same move spread over 4 moves. So its strongest move is the V, and even then it's got an enormous cooldown and you're not going to be doing much with this quirk anyways. So I'm going to be putting this at a D. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Again, this is my opinion, so don't get mad at me for putting clones in A tier and half hot half cold in S tier. I know nobody will get mad because nobody watches my videos. Anyways, please like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications, and I'll see you in the next video.